Everybody. So I noticed that a few people still had questions about how to identify a peer-reviewed journal article. So today we're going to do a little bit more of searching online together and then look over 3 different articles to see if we can figure out if they are peer-reviewed or not. Let's go ahead and get started. Here I am at the UVA Library webpage. Let's go ahead and just do a general search. I want to look up ethnic identity development. See what comes up. All right, so that general search will search all of the books in the library, all of the different articles that are in any of the online databases that UVA subscribes to. So I just want articles. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the articles tab. And now if you look over on the left, there's a box that says peer reviewed only. Let's go ahead and click that. Voila, you will have a list of articles that are peer reviewed. You don't have to worry about, is this really peer reviewed? I'm not quite so sure. You checked the box, literally. So yeah, these are all articles that you can then go ahead and choose to read and write about in your essays. But let's take a look at a few different articles and see, are there different things that we can identify, different clues as to whether an article is in a peer-reviewed journal or not. So let's start with this right here. Say I went to Google Scholar and I searched gender and social cognitive development. This one article came up. It's on APA, so okay, that's a respectable association. But APA lists all kinds of different articles, just like Google Scholar. Some of them are peer-reviewed, some of them are sections of books, some of them are just articles that are out there. So be sure to take a look a little closer to figure out if this is something that you want to write about in your essay. So if I look here it says chapter. That's the first clue for me that this is part of a book as opposed to an article that's published in a journal. If I look down here, I have my author, the date, the title of the article, but then it says in, and it lists 3 more people, and then EDS. That tells me these are the editors, which gives me the hint that this is probably a section of a book. And then it gives me the title of the book, Handbook of Child Psychology. Yep, this is a book. This is, or at least gender and social cognitive development is a section in a book. So that right there lets me know this is not an article that's in a peer-reviewed journal. Yes, there's an abstract listed here, but if you notice, there's no link to any sort of article whatsoever. Instead, it says full text from publisher. So that's another hint. There's a publisher listed at the end right here. So all of these little hints will let you know this is a chapter in a book, not an article from a peer-reviewed journal. So this isn't something you should be using for your essays in class. Let's take a look at another article. Say I was interested in Montessori education and I wanted to know, what are the public perceptions of Montessori? So there's an article right here, this very first one. Let's take a look. So first hint, right up top here, it says dissertation or thesis. So this lets us know that this is something that a student, a PhD or a master's student turned in as a way to, fulfill the requirements of their program and either earn their PhD or their master's. But there are other hints as well. So let's scroll down. So right here, has the title and the author's name, but right underneath it says it was submitted to a department so that certain faculty members could look it over in fulfillment of a degree. So again, it lets us know this is something that is produced by a student. It is not something that was published in a peer-reviewed journal. But there's more. If I scroll down, there's a page just for the dissertation committee, just listing them where they would sign off on it. And while it does have an abstract, which you'll also find on peer-reviewed journal articles. If you scroll down even further, there's a dedication, there are acknowledgements, there's a table of contents. All of this is letting you know, this is not an article that was published in a peer-reviewed journal. This is not something I can use for an essay in class. I also want to point out that you can see everything here is double spaced. In journal articles, they're trying to cram as much information as they can onto those pages. So they won't be using double space. So just looking at the text itself can give you that hint or that clue, like, this is probably not an article published in a peer-reviewed journal. Let's look at another article. So again, say I wanted to know more about ethnic identity development. This third article looked quite interesting. Ethnic identity in everyday life, the influence of identity development status. And I'll go ahead and click on the PDF. Child development. And it says SRCD over here. It has a volume and a number. And if I look at the page range, wow, it's quite long. This is not a short article. So these are indicators. Child development is probably the name of a journal. The volume and number and the page length say, this might actually be a peer-reviewed article. Let's keep looking. What other hints can we find? We've got our abstract right here. So that's another hint. And again, they're trying to fit as many words as they can on that page. So they've got, single spacing. They've got these 2 columns. Now they don't always have 2 columns, but that's a good indicator when you see they're really trying to cram some words in there. Another indicator that this would be an article in a peer-reviewed journal is if you scroll all the way down to the end, they would have a reference list or a bibliography here at the end, right? Another thing to think about, so this, I would say, I would feel like if I were a student thinking, oh, is this an article in a peer-reviewed journal? I would say, yeah, this sounds good. But let's just double check, child development. Let's look and see if that is a peer-reviewed journal. So child development journal, peer-reviewed. So here you see child development, peer-reviewed journal. So yeah, this will tell me this is a good article for me to be using in one of my essays in class. The other thing I'm noticing is sometimes you're getting these peer-reviewed articles, and sometimes they're literature reviews, and other times they are studies. So a literature review will look at across a variety of different studies and sort of summarize them and give the author's take on this review of the literature on a certain topic. However, if you're looking at a study, how would you identify if this is a literature review or a study? So it says something like the current study, right? Later on, it'll talk about, if you scroll down, it'll have a section that talks about the participants. In the methods section, it'll talk about, what was their procedure. So these are all indicators that this is a study, not just a literature review. Now, often at the beginning of a study, they will have a literature review because they want the reader to have an idea of like, here's all the literature that we're trying to communicate with when we're doing our study. Here's the background information that you need to know to help you understand why we did the study we did and give you a little bit of context as to where our study fits in. So there are literature reviews in study articles, but they're not the whole article, whereas other articles, the entire article is a literature review. So that's helpful to know when you want to think about, choosing a study to talk about in your essays. So I hope that was helpful. If you still have any questions about how to identify peer-reviewed articles, please let me know. I want to be able to help clear up those misconceptions for you, but also for any other students that come after you. So please let me know if you have any more questions. And if there's any other way I can help you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.